Welcome back, everyone. The StarLadder and iLeague StarSeries Season 3. We're talking about shows showing up and playing his Hearth out today as he's 0-6 in the group and is basically playing just to troll his opponents and maybe steal a win away from them. He's going to be playing against SuperJJ, which is currently, I believe, at 3-3. I don't want to lie. No, 2-3.
2-3.
Yeah, he is 2-3, which means that if SjoW wins this, JJ might be in a bad spot. That's pretty bad for him because it would bump him up to 4 losses, which then forces him to win his match against Pavel tomorrow. Not tomorrow, sorry, but on the 29th, which is the last match he's going to be disputing. So this win is also super important for JJ. You know, we're talking about this potential cutoff in the middle of the Group B, where a lot of people will be kind of battling over who's going through with a potential 3-4 score. JJ could still go up 4-3 if he wins this match and wins against Pavel on the 29th. But if he loses now, he is going to need to win the next one, and then we'll have a tiebreaker, head-to-head calculation, hyper-level mathematics, where we're going to have to figure out who goes through. He's going to be stressed out a little bit here.
The only best patron player will be able to figure out this group.
Yeah, but Life Coach is not in here. Who was the best patient player at the time? 6-0, I feel a lot of people were acknowledging as one of the best ones.
Well, there was actually a lot of really good players with patient, but at the same time, there was like 1 million more that were really bad and they were thinking that good. So, yeah. That was a pretty nice deck. But I have to admit, I was hating it for a while as well. Dark side went, out of me. Anyway, let's go into the game. Paladin versus Druid SjoW is having a decent opener, although the double swipe is kinda not really ideal, but it will be able to give him some room to breathe against this opening with the double Murlocs, 10-1 into 10-2.
Yeah, SjoW's going to be struggling again. The lineup, as we said earlier, is just kind of unfavored against everything that we've seen in the event so far. Everything he does is going to be from behind, and SuperJJ's got a good hand.
Which is very unfortunate when you talk about Hearthstone, that your lineup is just unfavored against everything else. Well, Gateway Kodo, Fruiting, need to peek. Pick. Well, my god. It's getting to me, man. 6 hours of casting. Actually,
peek.
4.
Peek.
Peek.
He's gonna peek this card.
All right.
We're gonna peek it. Go. SjoW.
5 mana.
Are you playing that Wrath?
I think he does, but he didn't actually do it first.
Well, he wanted to check for Noble Sacrifice if it was there, because if you ping for 1, then you can't finish off the minion. You'd be in trouble. Although you would be setting up a swipe on the following turn, I think it's still appropriate to do it the way he's going to be doing it here. And JJ is going to be able to set up one of 10,000 things here. Gets to play another Murloc, sets up the Megasaur, or can play the Sunkeeper Tarim if he wants to. He has got options, and that's really important going up against these decks, to just be able to flexibly change your game plan as you go.
And he even has the Peacekeeper top deck on the Aya.
Play more Murlocs if there's no second swipe. Why not? I'm still a big fan of Megasaur. Give these guys Divine Shield, give them plus health. If you've got the second Megasaur, giving plus health is super valuable.
There's the attack and +1/+1. Well, it's not terrible. Could have been better.
Value trade. Take a value trade on the Aya, right?
Well, although if you don't do that, then your opponent most likely will trade with the Megazord. Probably not.
That's a good point. So then you would have even more Murlocs to Megasaur once again.
Yeah,
okay.
But at the same time, SjoW might not just get that bait, right? And it will kill a Murloc anyway. But it might happen that your opponent will just kill the Megazord and then you're happy. So we'll see.
Swipe Wrath, definitely helpful here for SjoW. He has the ability to clean up 2 of these minions if he wants to. There's also the very appealing Jade Behemoth into Jade Idol to settle the biggest possible board that he can. They line up very well against Murlocs in general. In this case, a little bit less so.
He took the bait. That's unfortunate for SjoW.
I mean, is it that bad of a bait to take when you're looking at developing Jades this big?
The problem is that
just Steed.
Yeah, I was
Do you
thinking
ever
about the steed.
5. Oh, you'd be trading too much away, I think,
There's the poisonous, then the divine shield as
against
well.
Drake. Yeah.
Both are great. Poisonous and divine shield are great. Now it's the case of which one will be better, because your opponent has 4 minions and you have 4 minions to attack as well. So if you take the poisonous, you can clear the entire board. At the same time, there's one Jade Golem that is a 2/2, so you can guarantee that 1 minion of yours will live.
I like poisonous. On
I
paper,
like
I
as well.
think. Yeah. On paper, maybe you're thinking about taking Divine Shield because you can get value trades, set up a wider board that lives longer for Tarim. But since the Druid is already on defense mode, I don't think he's gonna let you get away with that. Is the question. Like, is he gonna get like if you're going face, then Divine Shield's better. But and you're setting up a Tarim, for instance. But if you're making trades, Poisonous is by far the superior choice. There's like 2 avenues. He's going face. All right, no problem. Sure, let's close out this game. Why not? Let's go. It's really good against Primordial Drake too, since you've got the Tarim to nullify it, and you're super wide on board.
And your opponent has minions as well on his board, so if he wants to play the Primordial Drake, then he will most likely kill his own minions at the same time.
So maybe it's just better for SjoW to go for Swipe Wrath, right? And kill as much of this board as he can. Is this ever the superior play? Because you're able to ping a Divine Shield off, you're then able to play Swipe, then Wrath, and then get a few trades, and they're pretty key here. You're going to be just ahead enough that it might be sufficient for you to stabilize. The question is, do you have enough spells to make use of the Gaddis Hand later on if you make that line of play instead of something else?
Tricky spot. I feel like I like the Swipe and the Wrath more. It's so much better.
Jade Blossom gives you a big Jade instead, if that's what you'd rather get. I don't mind it either. Oh, he's gonna go for it. Alright, so he's gonna get himself 10 mana for the Auctioneer cycle.
But the problem with this is that your opponent might actually push for a lot of damage and ignore just the Jade Golems, right? Cards like Spikered Steed in this situation also stop the attack from the golems for some time, because if they will attack into the steed, you will still have a 2/6 on board. Not exactly sure if I would actually like if I actually like the Curator more than the Spiker Steed, because you can play the Spiker Steed. You saw 2 swipes, you go face, you still have to draw War Eaters, right? Because we didn't see any yet, and you get additional value out of the Spiker Steed, which is better than a draw, because it puts the card already on board. And it also just, kind of pushes more damage. Not sure. Both are good. But
I think maybe the Steed plays really poorly into Tarim. So if you're looking to play Sunkeeper afterwards, then you're nullifying the stat buff of the Spikered Steed, which may not be as true for the Curator. So it's maybe more flexible to open up with Curator, but I definitely... know where the argument you're making. I think I understand what you're saying. It's just kind of tougher to keep going forward with the hand that you have if you're looking to use a Steed early. I'd rather just go Tarim into Steed than the other way around. And since you're drawing the Drake, you're also able to challenge his Drake with your own. That's an interesting spot.
Well,
so
this is awkward. So what do you think about just Rag? Just Rag. It's great against the 4/8. The stats are fitting so perfectly here. The only problem might be an Elfin Scale on the Primordial Drake, which then stops one attack. But at
I
the
like
same
just
time...
Sunkeeper now, yeah. He played around it, right? He played just into it. I think he was setting up for it, and he's just getting it. The big payoff is here. Oh man, that Sunkeeper doing so much work against Primordial Drake. It's kind of crazy. If you look at the amount of damage it's dealt and the amount of the fact that he's a 3/7 on top of his effect makes him so much better.
Well, it will make him a really way worse card if he had 6 HP. The one damage actually is really triggering for most people, because you have to sacrifice 3 minions instead of just 2, right? And that's so bad in most situations, unless you play a class like Druid, Mage, when you have 2 mana to spare. So it's kind of awkward.
All right, and now we've got the Hearthstone SjoW in JJ's hand, which is clearly useless in this matchup, and oftentimes will not find much value against SjoW's entire lineup, barring the Paladin match. So it's going to be kind of a dead card for the most part, and JJ is still in a commanding lead because of the Spike Risty that he has. You know, he's just dominating, and he's got removal for everything. He's got the board. He's not getting challenged just yet, and he's nearly on lethal, and he's setting it up for next turn. So if there's no taunts in the way, he's going for it.
And I would really like to see that eye for an eye pick. Like when your opponent already has big Jade Golems, and they swing first because they didn't check. Hilarious. Of course, no one that is sane will take it in this situation, but it would have been funny.
I would have liked to see that. I would like to see somebody die for not checking eye for an eye in competitive play once. I feel like people play around everything in comp play for the most part when it comes to secrets. You tend to not see those super wacky scenarios come up, but we're missing out on the real Hearthstone experience. SuperJJ with the options. He's got the ability to play a Spike Risty here, set up a decent attack. He can lose one of his minions by doing this, but I think that's acceptable.
Well, you can play Pyroman's Spike Risty on Pyram and just attack for 5 damage to the face, because you attack with the True Silver Champion and the Peacekeeper, right?
Sure, but so you attack with the Peacekeeper first, and then you go Pyro Steed into Murloc Development, and then you just attack face with a setup on lethal. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, you use the True Silver on the Drake, keep a wider board. You have no more Mega Swords, but you have a War Leader left, right? 2 War Leaders,
yes,
actually.
2 War Leaders, yes.
So there's a lot of damage from Murlocs alone. These Murlocs are actually, now that we're getting to this point of the game, they're really dangerous because the hero power for SuperJJ is, just constantly generating Murlocs. So at any point, if JJ's just plays 1/1s, SjoW will not be able to answer them, and the bodies on the board with the War Leader will be enough to get him dead.
Yeah, all of those cards are just way too slow.
Go get him! Go get him, Fandral. I believe in you. So
3 mana, what he can do, 3 mana.
Fel Rage, get 8 armor, gain 4 attack. Probably the best he's going to do. Maybe
doesn't innovate.
Scales. Nice draw you got there. Curator. Can curate. I mean, do we have a choice, really?
Well, it gives him the board, so that's something. Yeah, there was no choice.
You got to play into it. I mean, whatever he's got kills you. If he's got second Steed, you're dead. If he's got True Silver, you're dead. If he's got Consec, you're dead. You're really dead. You're pretty dead. But in the event that he literally whiffed on everything, you're not completely dead.
That's actually dead as well, right?
Everything kills him. It's just... He's just dead. Yeah. JJ trying to figure out how to tilt his opponent the most. He's going to play the top deck. Doesn't matter, man. He could have played Primordial Drake to set up a trade with the little Murloc, then Gone Face for the 8 with the War Leader. I mean, the Tarim and the other Peacekeeper. There are like 7,000 ways to set up lethal this turn, and JJ picks up his favorite one and closes out the first game. Jade Druid once again, not delivering.
Not winning a single game.
And they said Jade Druid would be oppressive. I mean, I'm not saying it's not an oppressive deck in terms of, control. Oppressive control deck. There's a reason people are bringing it. People are bringing it because they're targeting control. They're just getting memed by the fact that it's all mid-range and all aggro. So Jade is not operating at its peak capacity.
And now we have the occasion to see Purify Priest again. I'm very happy about this.
And it might just win. Best matchup in the game for the Purify Priest is this one. With a hand like that, a little bit less so. No card draw. And SjoW has one of the sickest hands you can ask for against a Purify Priest. That is coin Jade Blossom into Jade Spirit with Jade Idol. That is nuts. He has got everything.
Interesting that JJ didn't open with the Cleric. Right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Like, there will be always a Golem unless there's a Wrath.
Does he play Circle of Healing?
I don't think so. He would have to play Okanai Soul Priest as well. It makes no sense.
No, in Purify Priest, we've seen it just for the draw. With the list that play Pyro, sometimes just play Circle for the sake of getting massive draw. It's not very common, but it happens. So maybe that's the reason we see this. All right, here we go. Now this is a problem if Power Chill is present for SjoW.
You mean for JJ?
What a sick draw. No, Power Chill would be good for JJ.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Anyway, that Talon Priest actually swinged favor into JJ position right now.
Yeah,
and now he can...
ahead.
Now JJ can even heal his own Pyromancer to get that draw, which is important. I feel like because his hand is kind of dry. What he can do, he can go for Shadow Vision to get that Power Shield. But then he's mana awkward. Let's say that.
I like the Cleric more just on its own. I think it's a bit more consistently gonna make your deck do what it wants to do. Like healing for like to a 3/5 against Druid is especially powerful, I think. You're getting good value trades. You're a little bit like weak-ish to like a swipe into Behemoth setup. But the moment you pick up Razor Leaf or Ancient Watcher and you pick up a health buff, you're good to go. Like this hand is gonna give you like a huge swing in the mid game as soon as you pick up any of your minions.
It's not looking that terrible even against the swipe right now, because the swipe will leave something on the board. It's either Cleric, which you can't leave, so you will leave the Talon Priest, which will be a 3/1, which can be healed to 3/3 and still is a problematic card to deal with.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like JJ's play here is only weak to swipe into Behemoth usually. I think. I mean, I guess Aya Blackball is also an issue, but less so than Behemoth, in my book. So we'll see. JJ could just use this Talon Priest as the win condition.
Yep, can happen.
Doesn't need the Humongous Razor Leaf here. Anything that sticks, that has high health, could be the ticket to victory, and that could be a 3/10 starting next turn, and then a 20/20 with Shadow Visions. This could be the guy that carries JJ onwards to a huge minion. He can silence off taunts. He can wait for next turn to make it a 14 health minion. I think I want my 3/10 right now. This Druid can't stand a chance.
Yeah, you can't really do anything about 3/10. And if in a situation when SjoW would have an answer to the 3/5 minion, then your hand is garbage. Like literally garbage. So I understand the decision made by JJ. It was actually a very clever decision to just create a immovable object for the Druid right now.
Second Inner Fire is pretty good here as it dilutes the number of spells in the deck, increasing the chances of finding Divine Spirit, and he gets it, can make a 20/20 right now if he wants to.
Or a 3/24.
We can make a 3/24 and kill our opponent in one fell swoop over 2 turns. But I'd rather just punch him in the face. You've got a silence for the taunt, you can curate, you can Behemoth, you can Earthen Scales, whatever, man. Just do your worst. I don't care.
Disgusting.
Did you ever think Inner Fire Divine Spirit would be competitive?
Well, to be honest, I thought so, because the cards are just bonkers when they were good, and at some point I was sure that there will be a good deck of it. But of course, you know, beginning of Hearthstone wouldn't allow this to happen. But here, it's actually a decent deck. Which is fun.
It's so unbelievable. I'm honestly really happy. It's like the last... It's an aggro deck that doesn't go wide on board. It uses one big minion to make it. I used to think that Paladin would be the deck that buffs its minions, right? With the buff quest, with Kaleidosaur. I used to think, okay, we're going to get like a Pants Paladin, as it's called in other card games, where you just like buff one guy and have it hit face repeatedly for a lot of damage. But Priest is actually the Pants deck. It's the guy that just jams a few buffs on one target and just kills you with it, which is really interesting to me because it doesn't feel like that's what the class was designed to do. And now we see that deck getting banned. Some people respect it so much, it's their ban. Purify Priest, or Silence Priest, as you can call it, is actually just a terror for some decks.
It is. And now, you know what I'm gonna say? The Druid didn't win another game.
Yep, welcome to today's newscast. Druid failed to deliver. At least Jade did. The other ones got banned. Aggro Druid gets banned, and Jade Druid just loses.
Okay, let's see what is gonna be the pick. Earth Elemental against Druid is actually pretty exciting. No easy way of removing it. You still need to sacrifice like double swipes or Wrath Hero Power Swipe, which is awkward. You get the damage in. Card for Nourish, that's something that you usually don't see as the first Nourish because you usually still have cards. But in this case, when you have double Innervate, you know that you'll be going down in your card advantage pretty fast. So you need to refill as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Is the double Innervate that's really indicating to show that he has a good reason to go for the Nourish draw? Because he either goes for it later after the double Innervate, or does it earlier. The ability to play it here, or the reason why he's playing it here, is because it's likely that he can conserve. He's got time basically to play his resources first before having to double Innervate. If he can kind of space out those Innervates, it would be much better for him than if he has to go all in on a double Innervate Drake. So it took his time, and now he's getting presented with a very, very threatening minion in the form of the Earth Elemental. Lucky for him, the draw of the top was the Gadatan. And that gives him a fighting chance here.
And that's true. He cycles a lot of cards, but now what he needs to do is just take advantage of those Jade Golems to kind of get back on the board, but they're still not big enough to make a difference here. And with that Healing Totem, actually, that makes a problem. Shaman. Yeah, the Healing Totem is actually the biggest problem here.
SjoW's got enough mana to do what he wants with that swipe and Wrath. If you take the trade here, you're actually like playing into swipe a little bit harder, whereas now you're forcing the Druid to expend more resources to kill with the Earth Ellie. Alright, we're playing the Aya. Looks like we're just trying to fight for board here on SjoW's side.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, makes the most sense.
How else were you gonna battle against Shaman, which will replenish the board almost every single turn, right? So you have to go for it, and you have to go for it as soon as possible before your opponent has a chance to draw the Hex or Devolve. In this case, SuperJJ has both, and the question is, how do you want to proceed? Because what you can do is you can play Hot Spring Guardian, heal your Earth Elemental to maximum, so you can kill the Golem and then Hex. And I would actually like that play, because your opponent still is in a really awkward situation when he needs to sacrifice swipe and hero power or swipe and minion to get rid of that Earth Elemental.
Yeah, the issue with that is like every single time, like if you don't double Hot Spring, sorry, if you Hot Spring Guardian and then you leave a 2/1 on the board, or if you go face with your 7/4, you end up in a spot where the value trades are good. Is the Healing Totem that's, as you said, kind of carrying this Shaman right now. The Earth Ellie is gonna stick around for what? 1 or 2 turns if the opponent doesn't have the swipe?
Well, when you think about it, how much value that Earth Elemental already did gain for JJ, it's a huge swing anyway. Like, SjoW without that massive turn with Auctioneer would have already been on a mercy of not enough cards in his hand. So definitely a good decision to opt that Earth Elemental trades, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a battle for the board again in this matchup. It's Jade versus Jade. In this case, SjoW's done a pretty good job of keeping himself ahead in the Jade battle. He's so far ahead that every single time he plays a single Jade generator, whether we're talking about Jade Behemoth or Jade Spirits, which have already been played, he's fighting back on the board fiercely. Whereas when SuperJJ plays it, it's a setup for Bloodlust. It's a setup for Flame Tongue Totem. It's just fodder on the board. So JJ is still in the fodder stage of the Jade generation, whereas SjoW is a lot further ahead. And at some point, that tilts the matchup back in SjoW's favor because he just scales infinitely. And JJ's limited.
That's true.
That second swipe's a big deal too. If he to clean up the board afterwards, he's got a really good Drake here if he wants it.
Although the rest of the hand doesn't really look promising, that's the problem. The Drake and the swipe are the good cards here.
Yeah,
Other ones are pretty horrible. So.
You mean you don't like these little crabs? Come on, man. Have some heart.
Hearth. My hearth is made of stone. It's cold. Like Mother Russia.
Thanks, Babel. My book is made of sheep. Now SjoW picks up what I think was the best draw in his deck after he used the Wild Growth for pickup. He ended up getting the 4-drop, which generated the 6/6. I don't think it got much better than this. Every other line of play he had left him with 2 3s on the board, or big 4/8 that died to Hex, or some kind of transformation effect, or got flame-tongued off the universe. The Jade Spirit, on the other hand, forces JJ to play cards that he might not even have in the deck. So stuff like Lightning Storm to clean this up. Maelstrom Portal is not enough on its own. So very, very clunky for JJ.
That was the case that in those, situations where Jade Druid actually takes over the game is because of the fact that he has a tempo swing, because he gets a bigger minion than he pays mana for. So he actually gets like advantage of innervates built in because of the way how Jade Golems are being generated. And look at that. All right.
Yeah, this is exactly it. This Jade Druid might be able to finally do it. This matchup is not supposed to be that this favored for the Druid. If it even is, I would say the Druid's got a very, very good shot at beating the Shaman. The problem is when the Shaman goes wide, has the board set up, gets amazing Flame Tongue deals, and you don't have the swipes and rats, then you're just dead. But when you have those and you're able to keep his board under control, then you're fine. And this is exactly what we saw this game. SjoW had the removal to answer what SuperJJ did. I think this came down to the nourished draw, really, that SjoW went for on turn 5. It really allowed him to find the flexibility of removal to then stabilize and take over the game.
Yep. I would agree. The problem for JJ now is that the devolve is kind of like saying you should do it, but at the same time, he knows that he needs that Doomsayer, and there's no 2-mana minion. Oh, wow. Well, that 7 high main is pretty disgusting.
Doesn't matter. I'm gonna scoop it anyway. Didn't plan to play this game out, and SuperJJ is going to lose, finally. SjoW's Druid finds a win! What is this? I don't think this Paladin has won.
Fantastic!
Has this Paladin won? I don't feel like it did. Didn't see that guy come out.
Yeah, this is the third game, so SjoW has Paladin and Warrior, 100%.
Well, that Taunt Warrior is supposedly in a good position against this type of Shaman. We're not in the old days again, where Warrior just has no board clears. They have Sleep with the Fishes, they have the AoE, and frankly, they have so much board presence that they're able to chip off at the totems. One of the big problems they used to have was they don't have stuff on the board, they can't kill your totems, they end up using Brawl just to get rid of them, because they might just die to Bloodlust. Now they have 4-mana 2/6s, 5-mana 2/7s, and they can easily handle the totem spam that you generate. And Primordial Drake is a reset button in many spots.
That is very much correct. I like how you describe this deck right now. It's how it works. And now SjoW has a decision: do I want to sacrifice the Fear War Axe against a 1/2 minion that did actually make a copy of itself? So decision is no. I find that interesting because in most situations you want to play around Flanking Totems, but this is not a typical aggro list. So there's no need to play around Flanking Totem, because even if that will deal damage, your opponent doesn't have the option to kill you with projectiles. Usually that does through board advantage, and you're on your own turf as the quest warrior. You easily can deal with those minions. 2 brawls, 2 Sleep with the Fishes, 2 ghouls to pair it up with the Sleep with the Fishes. Most likely 1 whirlwind as well. That's a lot of tools.
Yeah, and one of the things too is that the axe acts as a deterrent to Manatide and Flame Tongue, so you know that they're going to be playing a very slow game. They're going to be generating small J's. They're going to be playing a much slower game against you. I wouldn't even be surprised to see JJ pull off the Hex in a spot like this. Shaman does it pretty often just to maximize the damage they push, because they have to push for lethal early. The longer this goes, of course, the further behind the Shaman is. So definitely correct here, I think, to Hex the Ali Armorsmith, one of the highest value targets in the deck by far.
Yeah, I agree. The life gain is actually invaluable, especially in a deck that has the ability to just turn off his hero power and not have any more life gain. In a class that, historically speaking, was the class with the most life gain in the game, and that's not the case anymore, at least not with this archetype. So shutting that down, the additional generation of armor, might actually mean win or lose here, before your opponent goes off with the quest.
So JJ here's got an interesting option. We can use the Flame Tongue with Maelstrom Portal to fill the board to the maximum while not attacking into the enemy with 3 minions, but instead only with 2. Because if you attack with 3 of them that is, then you're giving him 6 armor, right? So you're effectively giving him more life. So by using the Maelstrom early...
Wait. Is there a way of damaging your own minion somewhere? No.
Nah, not today. Not today! No. I apologize, Lothar. your wish of seeing the healing Horshire AoE heal, draw 7 cards is not gonna come to life. Unfortunately. Oh man, that would have been sick though.
That ruined, right? That's what's needed.
And we see JJ taking it slow. He says, "Now you must brawl, else Bloodlust just rips a hole in your heart," and the show is gonna have to commit to that. So
that's not really the best board you can brawl. Has almost no value.
I mean, you could ghoul. If you had Sleep with the Fishes, clearly this is doable. It's not the best because it's still very clunky. So maybe you could slow down again and Bloodhoof Brave Armorsmith. I just think Bloodlust tells you you're gonna die, and I don't trust a Shaman with my life. And it looks like he's gonna be keeping himself the Flame Tongue that dies to the War Axe. So this early development of the War Axe is paying off now, getting able to clean up this board at the very end. And JJ's got refills
for days. Well, maybe not days, but that creator is actually pretty sweet. You can get...
What do you get? Oh, do you even have a dragon? I don't think...
Well, there should be a dragon. No, wait, you don't play Azudrix. Huh.
No, there's I don't think there's any more...
No, Azudrix, not promoted ones, sorry.
Yeah, you don't play them in Shaman, so... Is there a beast in the deck that I'm just not thinking of? I don't believe
but
so.
I don't think JJ is playing Kodo at all. Interesting.
What a draw there. Second ghoul here for JJ, for SjoW, and allowing him to finish off the 5/5 minion. You can see now SjoW's life total is dipping awfully low. Kind of awkward, but I mean, there's a good Jade Lightning trade, but it's kind of slow. That Jade Lightning can be a lot more flexible later in the game. So it's just going to be a 7-mana 4/6. Get the biggest guy that lives through the most possible removal. That's the reason why JJ took this minion. That double Armorsmith behind Tom.
This double Armorsmith will make a huge difference. The Volcano doesn't look good anymore.
And it did look good, is the worst part, right? That's the annoying part. Is it looked so good for JJ as a way to reset the board and push.
Alright, without the second Armorsmith. That's a pretty good draw, I would say.
Yeah, Devolve is best used when they have a taunt minion so you can nullify it. So that's Morose over there, and that's a card draw with the Runic Egg. So that's a generation of infinite 1/1s. You can nullify that with the second Maelstrom Portal, so it's not the end of the world. Definitely doesn't feel amazing. I would be in favor of just, I wouldn't say ignoring the board, but just getting the most damage in that you can. It's not that you don't care about him getting trades or getting brawls, is that you need to kill him. So you respect the minions, you just can't afford to kill them. That Drake's gonna draw a card.
Second brawl.
What a day. Is this the best last brawl you ever get? That's what you have to consider here.
Well, the other consideration would be 4 totems and 1 minion, basically. So it's not bad. You have a chance that your opponent will actually lose the brawl and you will end up with a minion.
Yeah, I like this more. A lot more stable. You draw a card, you kill the healing totem. This guy's stuck at 1 HP. Unlikely he picks up something else. That's a decent Jade Lightning turn. Suddenly, JJ could close out this game if there's no second brawl, he's thinking. He's on the cusp of doing it, really. I mean, he's really close. He's got his opponent down to 10, and he's got enough on the board to finish off the game on the following turn, barring the armor up, which would slow down his opponent again. So no Primordial Drake with a Sleep with the Fishes. No brawl, and he could close it from his perspective.
Oh, the creator helps a little bit because now refill is coming to SjoW's hand. Another Primordial Drake and the Hatchling. So that is awkward. Hero Power, Manatite Totem pass, I guess. You want to get that card draw as soon as possible.
Here's a question: do you value the health on your 5/5? I think you value the health on your 5/5 because of execute more than you value your 2/3/3s. Now the quest is about to complete, but I don't think we'll see it this game. I don't think SjoW's going to need it to win. If SjoW wins, it's going to be through attrition. He's going to starve his opponent of resources. And that's a sick Sleep with the Fishes. God, is it sick.
Very good. Signore.
We got Volcano. Do we wait?
No, I think you need to play it right now and then just play Jinju with no value at all.
You
just need
so?
something on the board presence.
Can't we Hero Power and then Volcano him next turn and get even more value?
Well,
or do we just lose? I guess maybe you're right. We need to get that 3/6 out. Yeah.
He didn't have the second.
You're on a Hextop deck. Then you're on a Hextop deck with Maelstrom Portal to go through and connect. That's awkward. This is slipping away from JJ faster and faster. He's got no reach in the deck. Stonehill Defender into Alakir. Meh. Barely even goes through taunts. How are you going to do with that?
Okay.
So how does SjoW lose? Let's look at it that way. How does SjoW lose this game?
By passing turns without playing cards?
So I think at this point it's just a lock in SjoW's favor. I can't think of a way for JJ to catch up. Maybe Kalimos in some fashion can make it happen.
But he would have to be required to play at Elemental the turn before, and that isn't possible.
Right, so you'd have to draw runner cards, which would have to be godlike. So far, not looking very good for him. Bloodlust as a rock batter weapon, pretty expensive, but hey. Kills
hey, only 3 mana difference.
That's right, they nerfed it. Get nerfed, Shaman!
Stonehill Defender. That's one of the cards that you actually really need in this situation. It guarantees you armor generation alongside the armor smith. You get another taunt, which you most likely will play this turn as well. And that generates even more armor, so you're going further and further away from that pesky shaman that wants to kill you. So the War of Attrition, as you handsomely said about it, is going in SjoW's favor, and he had made a good plan, I would say.
Yeah, this is a matchup where the Warrior actually, unless you find a good Devolve opener with Bloodlust, which happens. I mean, in the list, in Token Shaman, for instance, which is a deck that's kind of cropping up, you find it's a bad matchup, possibly even worse than Midrange Shaman, but you run into those situations where you're just able to Bloodlust people out of the universe. And the Midrange Shaman is better at doing this against Taunt Warrior because they run the Devolves and they can just push those crazy damage setups. And I really like the... I really like the dynamic in this matchup compared to the old one. Mid-range Shaman used to be, I wouldn't say boring to play against Control Warrior, but there was no back and forth. It was just Shaman plays. Hero powers every turn, and then the Warrior armors up every turn, and then they brawl, and then you do it again, and you do it again until you're finally down to fatigue, and then the Shaman kills you anyway. So the current way the matchup goes is very back and forth because the Warrior is also getting on the board and is attempting to close out the game, and this is kind of the turning point. You see the Sulfuros come out, and there's going to be an inevitable win condition on the Warrior side, and the Shaman can't do anything about it.
Yeah, those Shamans just don't run any burn, so you can't get just a finish, just based on the fact that you will draw like lava bursts and crackles like in the wild and so on. So your opponent is behind a wall of taunts. There's literally no way for you to come to him.
Well, now we must. Oh! The draw! JJ!
It still doesn't really do that much when you think about it.
So if you AoE everything down, how much health is he on? If he's like above 15, if he's above 13, he might be okay.
Well, to be honest, I can't see the numbers. I think it's 9 health.
Okay, he's at 13 health right now. So if he plays Kalimos or Primal Lord and clears up a lot of minions, then picks up another AoE, I don't know what he's running specifically, or picks up a Devolve, and has a Flame Tongue in there sprinkled in. It's very grim, it's not likely to work, but he needs to run some god tier plays here. If there's any card that could have bailed him out on a dream, this is the first step.
Well, you need to go for it anyway.
He's still, based on SjoW's hand, he's still not going to be able to do it, but gonna have to take a shot.
I'm guessing he was thinking about creating one elementals here, but at the same time, they just die if you do that. So
I think just dealing phase damage, because he's got no more armor generation works. Does he have Jade Lightning left? I think there might be one left.
And how much HP? 6. Well, that's still not enough to finish off his opponent in one card.
Oh, I know how you do this. You go Stonehill Defender into Abomination, and then you get Jade Lightning.
Oh, wow.
Is that what he's playing to? I don't even know anymore.
I think he just makes a play and wants to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. Can't fault him, really. There's little that he can do in this spot. And that is going to be just a guaranteed kill. With Sleep with the Fish is going to get a hero power off for exactly 8 damage on JJ. JJ not even finding the win with a Shaman. Now that means that JJ's tournament life is on the line. It's 2-2 in the series. They both have a Paladin. And
is JJ going to become the first win for SjoW? That
he might be.
Disappointment for JJ.
It just might be. I don't know, man. Like this Shaman list for JJ, while working out okay in most cases, like at least for against Control Paladin, you're probably okay, and you should have the edge. You have so many transformation effects; you can nullify everything they do.
The Doomsayer is pretty horrible with the devolves and
yeah,
even hexes. You don't want to lose a hex on the Doomsayer, but sometimes you're being pushed to use that actually.
I mean, that's okay. And the thing is, like, those J's are scaling up and up and up, and the Paladin can't really stop you from making it happen. But maybe it still works out. Oh, that Kalimos is I mean, while not a great draw now, because it doesn't let you play on the board or anything, it's at the very least a solid card to have in hand, because it guarantees that you're going to be able to close out a lead at some point. The fact that you can reach with 6 damage in some cases can just mean the difference between a win and a loss. When you're setting up 5/5 Jades and your Kalimos hits for 3 to kill a Rag Light Lord, that's about the time where your Jades are, in the 5/5 range. Mm-hmm. So those can be pretty big swing turns.
What do you think about this? SjoW is actually pretty bad against Paladins because they can just use Peacekeepers and shut them down. So Hot Spring Garden is not that bad, but not against Paladins when you will already be at high HP because your opponent plays pretty slow. Giant Mastodon, though, is just a 6/10 beast.
I mean, there's no difference between you targeting or not targeting it, right? Like, the targeting of it doesn't matter. So I would pick
Yes.
Giant Mastodon over Sogoth.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless your opponent plans to just Spike Christine your own guy, it wouldn't matter. So if I'm looking for a big guy, I take the Mammoth. But if I'm looking for tempo, then a Hot Spring Guardian. The issue with Hot Spring Guardian is it lines up perfectly into True Silver Champion, lines up perfectly into Stampeding Kodo in some cases when the board is very, very slim. So it can be a bit awkward.
Like most of the turns with those decks, with both the Paladin and the Shaman. They have a lot of synergy between each other, and sometimes you just join them like off curve, or you have the wrong pieces of the puzzle, so you don't have comfortable decisions to make.
I mean, the name of this game might just be awkward turn after awkward turn, because they play cards that are teched against decks that they're not running up against. So they're making this is like the battle. It's like a sumo battle, really. It's just gonna be slow and grindy until one of them just dies from exhaustion. Like there's not gonna be any type of burst he plays unless we see the Bloodlust come in handy. It's gonna be super slow.
So one guy trips over his own feet and loses.
The thing is, it's pretty explosive at times. It's just that then it goes back in the other direction and it stabilizes very quickly. There's like no, it's not like an aggro matchup. So you'll find like those pinpoints where they just go, all right, I'm setting up Bloodlust. Board clear. All right, let's go again. Let's do it. It's just a very exhausting matchup for the Paladin player, because it's even worse for them as they don't have a way to close out the game like a Taunt Warrior. You know, to put it in perspective, Control Paladin tries to do a similar thing, but they don't have the finisher. They're just kind of a bad Taunt Warrior in this matchup.
Which is not that terrible because of the fact that you don't lose one card when you open your hand.
Sure. But then you have like dead Doomslayers and unplayable cards that... Ugh. Like, look at that. Which play? Like, if you're SjoW, what are you happy to do here? Precisely nothing. So you're just going to jam Doomsayers because you've got nothing better to do? It's not even because it's a good setup. It's just because you've got nothing better to do.
In this case, he just uses his Doomsayer as a slightly better healing touch. That's about it.
Yeah, and it looks like JJ doesn't have a choice but to eat the damage that's going to be dealt by that Doomsayer. So everything's going to be cleared up, and he's going to lose the mana tide in the process. Will draw a card, however. So we'll still end up the turn in an okay spot. I like the totem up attack pass turn. Seems pretty good. Is this the slowest matchup left in the game? Like, is Control Paladin the slowest deck left in the game?
Let me think. What about Freeze Mage? Now it's actually way more bursty, so it depends on the draw.
I think it might just be the slowest deck in Hearthstone right now that's still played.
Might be. Alright, devolve a little bit too late against that Doomsayer. Now, and how was it called? Awkward, right?
I mean, this is at least he had a Stonehill Defender. I was gonna say like the awkwardness that is mitigated a little bit by the fact that he can discover a card instead of having to play Ivory Knight and maybe pick up a useless spell like Paladin spells tend to be. He would love to find Spiker Steed. He would love to find Blessing of Kings in these spots. Get some proactivity in this game here, because otherwise this is just going to slow down to a crawl. One of the big swing turns that are possible for Control Paladin are these Sunkeeper Tarim turns where they play 1/1s all game long and then they just get that massive Sunkeeper. But Shaman matches you Totem for 1/1. So you oftentimes end up not getting that value until turn 10, where you can Consecrate first, then Sunkeeper. And if you ever get 1/1s, Shaman just plays Maelstrom Portal, so you're back to square one. So it takes a few resets before that sticks.
I feel like I like just to use the Truce of a Champion this turn, go for the Peacekeeper as well, build up some tempo for the upcoming turn. What's the secret for SjoW? I actually can't remember.
Getaway Kodo it is indeed. So right now he's trying to maximize
okay.
value. Gets another Sunkeeper or Stonehill Defender. Plays around getting Jade Lightninged or Fire Elementaled. And tries to keep the best minion that he can. That's an interesting choice. He doesn't want the Stonehill Defender again. I'd keep it. I think I like getting Stonehill again in this spot. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it as well.
Fair enough. You want a Hex? Do you want a crappy...
You need to keep the Hex for the Tyrion. Or Tyrions. So, and the Light Lord as well. So I don't really like the Hex right now. At all. At all.
So you know this is Getaway Kodo, probably. I mean, it wouldn't be Noble Sack. These strays just seemed kind of odd.
Well, if it's Getaway Kodo, you can actually benefit from the Hex. Because you will give your opponent the Frog. So this is a good point to focus on. And think about it, what it's worth. But I think that's the only viable choice when you're 100% sure that it is being... Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Well, when you can like be sure at 100% that it's gonna be Getaway Kodo, then you should be hexing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not should, but it's at least viable compared to just jamming it when you have no idea.
The problem might be just the second Tyrion, right? If it comes the second Tyrion, then you're kind of falling behind.
He does play Harrison Jones though, so the Ashbringer can get stolen. He's got counterplay. Now we see SuperJJ just, again, slow turn after slow turn, not really setting up anything crazy, just trying to play the least amount of resources to extract the maximum amount of board position that lets him then find an opening to set up. That's the tough part, is finding those setups. Now SjoW with the extra 1/4 on the board has still a good Getaway Kodo waiting for him. Wonder when we'll see JJ pull the trigger on some of these cards. Jade Lightning, pretty solid card here. Lines up well against what's on the board. Volcano, a little bit clunky. You're killing your own healing totem and not doing anything else. Feels kind of awkward.
Those devolves are really not finding the targets, right? SjoW is playing so patiently, almost the entire match.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to.
Because he plays patiently because all of his turns were really awkward. So he didn't want just to smash minions on the board because they didn't make much sense. And that resulted in him having a huge card advantage.
To be fair, though, one of the reasons, one of the ways JJ can extract value from those devolves is when Sunkeeper Tarim comes down on a bunch of 1/1s. So you can turn them into wisps and they lose their buff. And then if you have an even board and they're trying to create a stalemate, you can break that stalemate by using devolve. But that's an opportunity that's not going to be present for, again, another solid 6 to 7 turns, I think, based on the pace of this game. At the moment, JJ still is setting up for Kalimos or Primal Lord. Always has an elemental at the ready.
You think he wants to wait till turn 10 when he can go devolve into Kalimos?
Honestly, this is probably one of the biggest swing turns he's going to get, but we'll see. It seems to me like a good line of play. And now we see SjoW with the Blessing of Kings, a fantastic card to get off of the Ivory Knight in these matchups, especially where it's all about stalemating. Create one big guy, and it makes everything a little bit clunky for the Shaman, as he's now forced to use a devolve on a suboptimal board, and then you can capitalize on that double Sunkeeper you've got in hand. It's still drawn out, though. It's not gonna be a quick one.
It's such a weird situation also to kind of say who might be ahead. It can be a swing turn from one of the players and everything changes. But that Tarim is actually MVP. One of those two actually will be the MVPs. You explained multiple times today actually how important that card is in the strategy of the Paladins, and you will see in this match it again. This is such a clutch card that will gain you the advantage and the removal at the same time.
Now we're going to just be developing on the board. Hero powering every turn seems like the right way to play this. He's got the ability to play his Kalimos now. I mean, he's able to clean up the entire board with this instead of the biggest minion possible. He's seen one Aldor. I don't think this Kalimos is getting any better.
There we go. I think so far, from every single competitive match I watched with Kalimos being played, I never saw the heal and I never saw the Earth Elementals being played.
Okay, I've seen it in this event so far. I've seen every single option come up. The most impactful one has always been the board clear, and the second most impactful has been the 1-1s. It was in the, I think, Taunt Warrior matchup. I believe Kolento was against Taunt Warrior and played the 1-1s after he'd seen 2 ghouls, and that won him the ability to push with the Bloodlust afterwards.
Makes sense, because then you can actually reliably play around hero powers, right? With this amount of minions that are 1/1, clogging the board, just like that.
Now we're scaling into the late game, and we're seeing SuperJJ finally gonna start forcing SjoW to remove his board. There's an equality on SjoW's side, no Pyro, no Consec just yet. He's gonna need to pick up those pieces to make something of his removal. And SjoW again sitting a little bit like on some very awkward cards. The Twilight Drake is good. He can play it to challenge the board and pair it later on with the Divine Shield of Grand Street Protector if he wants to. Can trade away the 1/1 into the 6/5. Not a bad card if you just play the Blessing of Kings after the Drake. The important part is you want every single 1/1 you can get to set up for that Tareem swing.
That is true. The problem with the Twilight Drake is that it's a horrible card against Devolve, and your opponent didn't use a single Devolve yet. So you can't really play the Blessing of Kings at the same time as well, because you're just giving the target, something. So I like the Doomsayers, actually, because that kind of says you need to play the Devolve, but at the same time you don't really want to do that, because why would you?
Well, it's going to be good for JJ as he finds a swing turn. The 4/7, though, better than Tareem at the end of the day.
Yep.
And it might even become a 5/8 if that 1/1 buffs it. That's the little Cthulhu tentacle guy. When he dies, buffs something by +1/+1, so that could be a huge minion for JJ to deal with.
You can go for the 50-50 with the Wisp, right? Then you take it off with the Jade Claw.
Yeah, but the chance that it becomes big is always a problem. He can't really do anything about it anyway, so might as well just accept your fate. Yeah, you just accept your fate. That 5/8 is going to get value. You're going to have to use your Virginia Water Speakers and whatever you have on board. The Jade Claws generates a huge Jade right now, which is also fantastic, so you can set that up too. The problem is you expect your opponent to have a board clear, and he's just trying to milk you for every possible bit of value. There is no way that Paladin's not sitting on Equality Pyro somehow, right? There is no way. And you can't possibly just keep jamming big stuff. Now you conserve your resources and you switch to a slower game plan.
Well, Drake is awkward. Doesn't really do much on this board. But the Protector actually gives him so much value right now. The 6/6 pairs up with 2 minions of his opponent. I feel like this might be, again, a moment to use Devolve. The 6/6 with the Taunt minion might actually get degraded to a 4/5 or 5/5.
That's a decent
the rock is upgraded, so it also will be degraded. And the Silver Hand Recruit has Divine Shield, which most likely will get removed. I mean,
yeah, it's going to become a Wisp every time. So if you... I think the Devolve's not a bad idea here. The double Hex is already good enough to handle Tyrians and the likes. So it's a matter of how much you think you have to commit to a refill. Right? That's the thing, because At the end of the day, if you're devolving, you need to completely dominate his board after it, and I don't think you're quite doing it here. So Genie Water Speaker is not unrealistic. I think it challenges the 5/8 quite nicely with the 6/6.
Here we go. Jojo's Water Speaker is being played on the board. But still, it's not looking great for JJ. He's running slowly out of resources.
Yeah, but he's seen Stonehill Defenders, has he?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think so.
I feel like he's seen one at least for the first Tarim. Then the Getaway Kodo gave the Tarim back. Then
Yes.
Then I think it was replayed and it turned into a rock. So there might be a Stonehill Defender left.
No, that was the Curator.
Oh, fair enough. Then there's no Stonehill Defenders
No,
left.
what I'm talking about. No, what I'm talking about. It was the Tyrant.
Yeah, the Tarim was the first Stonehill, that's for sure. And it gave Sho something to do on that turn where he had nothing. So at this point, SuperJJ knows that there are not going to be 3 Tyrians. But the 2 hexes can be used for Light Lord and Tyrian baseline, which is already big enough a problem. There's the Primordial Drake that also has very high health, that is tough to handle. So it's going to be coming out right now, in fact. And we'll see just how JJ finds a way to handle this, because it's not going to be simple. This might be the Volcano turn in some weird way. Depending on what he finds. Okay, never mind. Picks up something else. He can combine the Hot Spring Guardian with the 6/4 to kill the 4/8 and keep his minion alive. So still a reason to play a little bit slow. But it's going to get complicated a few turns down the line here. Plays Hot Spring Guardian now, then he's exposing himself to losing it to the 5/3 that's on the board, so it feels kind of awful. But if the 5/3 lives and SjoW extends into it more, then Volcano becomes really good if SuperJJ doesn't commit more. So if he just plays Hot Spring, Hero Power, and trades, then he's kind of giving SjoW an incentive to commit, and by doing that is making his Volcano live, as opposed to leaving it dead in hand for the entire game. That might be correct.
It's true, but if will SjoW take the bite, right? Because it's kind of obvious what SuperJJ might want to set up, and at the same time we have seen SjoW being really conservative for the entire tournament, basically, which, to be honest, kind of did bring him to not winning to not winning his matches, because he was just too conservative with his cards, with his burn, with his minions. He was just taking it, he was playing too greedy. Let's see how it will be this time.
Spiker's Steed is in the hand for SjoW. Again, one of the very good cards. Not so good against Shaman, but it oftentimes ends up baiting those devolves, those hexes. So it's all about whether or not it's good enough to challenge the board. Right now, SjoW's still not on Consecration. Would love to have it. I mean, decent thing to have when you're sitting on equality. And finally, Rag Lightlord comes up. If that hits the rock, that could be an insane swing. Back to 8 health this guy would go.
Let's see what it hits. And it hits the rock.
Oh my god.
+7. Oh, JJ is so crushed right now.
I mean, if you just hex that Lightlord... So if you go face for 6 and you hex Lightlord, you just... you're putting yourself behind. So the bait happened. It worked. The Hot Spring Guardian Hero Power forced SjoW to play into the board and ended up getting completely cleared off. No hex use, no devolve, and this is kind of what JJ was looking for.
And now he has the opening with the double things from below.
Do you do it though? Do you double thing?
I feel like
double seems too much.
You think so?
Oh yeah, dude. That I've not seen a single equality. I've not seen a single pyro. I've not seen anything. And why is there a horse in the lava? What? What is that? I've never seen this.
Is it a horse? It looks like a deer, or something like a reindeer.
Sure, let's call it a reindeer, a lava reindeer. Kind of weird.
Yeah. Man, my screen is so pixelized, cannot see a thing. It's like
this is welcome to online casting, Lothar.
How much SjoW has HP? 26?
26. Yeah, he's at 26,
Okay.
and SjoW is at
And-
21.
Okay.
So JJ is sitting pretty at 26. He's got some healing in the hand too. So SuperJJ has some lasting power. I think the turns are going to end up very quickly. As soon as the game snowballs in one player's favor, it's just going to be closed out very quickly. JJ has
I like
almost
the
no
bait for the
incentive
second
to
default
break.
though. So
The bait?
I feel like the Twilight Drake is just being played here for the bait for default because it's such a good target for the default, right? It's a 4-drop that has more health than more stats than usually a 4-drop should have. So it's a good bait for the devolve, but at the same time you don't really want to waste it. Oh my god, the Hex was being played.
That is a good play, I think, for SuperJJ. Plays it for tempo, is forcing his opponent to now use board clears, which I think is sort of what he has to do at some point. The Hex is going to go on Tyrion anyway. He knows that. He's got Harrison Jones for the second Tyrion, so he's still matching the Tyrions 1-for-1. And it's really down to JJ to find a way to set up a Bloodlust. If JJ can just get ahead on board enough and find that Bloodlust, he's going to completely blow out his opponent. But right now, he knows for a fact that there's another Tarim in the deck that is inherently in there. There's a Tyrion. There's a Spikered Steeds. So there's a lot of taunt lineups coming up.
Oh, look at that!
He's lacking
SjoW
options.
is going. SjoW went for the anti-devolve tech.
Oh my god!
That is
Devolve that, baby.
Can't really do that. Can't touch this. Dun, 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 dun.
Can't touch this.
Can't
Oh,
default it. Oh my
No,
god!
no!
Gee.
No! Oh, you did it! This is the story of the event. Oh, good game, JJ. We're done here.
I mean, I don't want to be, rude, but I feel like this is the case when you don't really play the game that much, right?
I don't know. No, man. So many people make that mistake in competitive play. It's not even funny. Like, and it's not that they don't play enough. Is that the situation? Like, while it happens often, you have such set in stone targets for Hex, and you deviate from that plan so little that when it comes, like, it's very rare that you'll Hex something that'll get buffed afterwards. It'll literally only happen against Paladin on a target that you've had to Hex that wasn't the one that's game winning, and so. This interaction is.
Look at that. JJ actually lost a turn because of that. He didn't use hero power. He was just.
I think he lost.
He was still thinking about the turn. Like, was it a bug or was it just a normal thing and he just messed up? And we know he messed up. I mean, we had this situation before. I actually forgot about the interaction, although I saw it. And I still forgot about it. But JJ is genuinely surprised here. And this will cost him the game, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, this frog is just doing everything it wants. It's just doing everything it wants. So the only minions that cannot be transformed by devolve, and that's going to come in handy for those who need a checklist. The giants that have 12 mana cost baseline cannot be turned into 11 drops. 0 cost minions like Target Dummy and Wisp cannot have that, and Molten Giant, which is the costliest minion in the game, cannot have them. Cannot happen to them. And then you've got Evolve on the flip side, which works in a very similar fashion. That affects every 10 drop, every 12 drop, and the Molten Giant at the top end. So, very weird cards to play around. If you're not used to it. There's still a chance that JJ is able to establish a board. He's got the Harrison Jones for the, potential other Tyrion if that comes up. And he's able to take up some card draw, but his board state is going to be completely devastated just by the fact that he lost an entire turn doing nothing.
Yeah, and also the fact that, look at his deck. I feel like that's 4 cards left, maybe 5. And SjoW is still running like an...
Well, the thing is that Tarim is mostly dead until you're able to be ahead on board, which is what's going on right now. SjoW is trying to set up that Tarim turn. He's doing pretty well at it, too. Just guaranteeing he's going to have just enough on board to completely shut down JJ. Yeah, this should be Tareem very soon. I have no doubt we're going to see that happen. Bloodlust in the deck is going to be completely useless. As soon as those minions are dealt with and Tareem comes out. Get some value trades, and Tareem, and win.
JJ is still under the impression of the frog, so it will cost him this match, and in the process, it might cost him the entire tournament, because he will
tournament
fall,
life.
Yes, he will fall down to 4 losses if he will lose this game, and that will put him in an unadvantageous position when it comes to the head-to-head and fourth place battle, while SjoW will get his honor point in this tournament. But it's still not the end. SjoW still needs to close out the game. So we'll see if that's actually possible. But it's kind of looking like it.
Yeah, I think this is just a match in favor of SjoW. After that devolved, I don't think there was a comeback scenario for JJ, unless, again, SjoW just played nothing, had no minions, had no second Tareem with a setup, those 1-1s being amazing. The fact that SjoW's been able to take those value trades in the late game is making this a little bit difficult. While the Fire Elemental is cute, it still dies to equality, and on the back of equality, what can SjoW do? You guessed it, just play 1-1s, set up Tareem, and win the game. Equality into Tareem actually gives you a bit of an edge in the trading department, because sometimes you're just able to have a higher health minion where Tareem is soaking up those frontline minions. And then extracting the last bit of value from the Shaman player.
This game.
Hey, it happened twice, man. It happened twice. I'm telling you. This is a big problem. People need to learn to devolve. Oh, look at that. That's cute.
Are you playing Hunter Quest?
It's overpowered. I can't.
Yeah, that's what I heard about it. Before the release. I mean, to be honest, I also thought it would be overpowered. But at the same time, if it's not overpowered, then it's complete garbage. So
yeah, it was one or the other. It was like either the most broken thing or the absolute worst. I said that about Quest Rogue. I said this is either OP or completely useless. Turns out it's actually a very meta-defining deck, to put it that way. And look at that Manatide at the end, just showing up with a frown on his face, just like JJ. Well, he's got a small smile, so I guess he's partially happy. But that's gonna be the end of the series, and SjoW's gonna take his first win at the end on the back of assuming his opponent did not know how to devolve, and he was right. JJ clearly did not know how to devolve and slipped up. The frog got all the buffs, and the frog stuck around and won SjoW that game. Maybe didn't need that, but it certainly helped, as the game could have gone differently. I mean, had things been played out.
JJ just lost an entire turn, right? He was bamboozled after the devolve, and he was just thinking for 45 seconds what just happened and should it be this way. Then he forgot to click hero power and play his thing from below. So that was kind of a blowout when you think about it. So yeah, justice came to SjoW finally. He got that 1 point. He is not leaving the tournament with only 7 losses, right? So it's 1 win, 6 losses. He defended his honor.
Yeah, the Sweet 16. That being said, guys, we'll take a quick break before being back for the last match of the day. That's going to be StarLadder versus Kalento. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.